Hello again, everybody. Welcome to a new screencast lecture. Tonight we are going to be covering the properties of matter. And also tonight's lecture is brought to you by Brussels sprouts. Eat them, kids. They're good for you and they're delicious.
And they're also horrible.
No, they're the opposite of horrible. They're very good. Alright, so properties of matter. Sorry about the food in my mouth, but here we go. So let's talk about our senses. Now, I know in elementary school, your teacher probably taught you that you have 5 senses. You probably heard about that. And, that's...
Taste, touch, smell, and see.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And that's generally true. And there's actually several more senses that you have that you might not have thought about before. So sight, smell, touch, hearing, and taste. One of those senses could be that you can sense heat and cold. You know where your body parts are. So, like, for example, if you close your eyes and you are able to touch your nose without being able to see it. So, I can grab my ear without having to be able to see my nose and my ear. And why would I be able to have to see my nose to grab my ear? But your balance. So you can close your eyes and you can balance on one foot. Those time. That's a good one. So if you just sit still for a second. Just sit still and don't think about anything. Boy, that's good entertainment, isn't it? Now, if you think about when I told you to start not doing anything, you might be able to say how long that was. You probably have a pretty good sense that it was about 6 seconds. So that you do have all these other senses besides note about. But let's focus on those 5 senses. So sight. Some characteristics that you can use describing sight. Here are some adjectives that are used to describe things that you can see with your eyes. You don't have to write these all down, but read them. Read them to yourself. Be a little bit familiar with them. If you don't know what one of them mean, either look it up or you can ask me later. Smell. Another way to describe your sense of smell is what's called olfaction or your olfactory senses. Okay. Here are some adjectives to use for smell. Again, read them and be familiar with them. Adjectives are words that are used to describe a noun.
Aren't they a place and personal thing?
You're probably gonna, yeah. The smell of natural gas. We will do that in class. Being able to identify the smell of natural gas is a very good thing to be able to do. Touch. How about some adjectives that you can use to describe your sense of touch? Here are some. I really feel bad that I'm eating dinner while I'm doing this, but sorry. Your sense of hearing. Some characteristics you can use to describe your sense of hearing. We can do these in class as well. Taste. Let's talk about the sense of taste. Here's some adjectives for you. All right, now we're getting down to some of the definitions. So, physical property. Here's a definition for physical property. A physical property is a characteristic that you can observe without changing or trying to change the composition of the substance. So if I just wanted to make observations about this water bottle, I can say, well, it's clear. It's has a blue label on it. It has a cap that screws on. Those are all observations that you can make about this. And after I'm done making those observations, you still have this plastic bottle. It hasn't changed the plastic bottle. Versus if I eat this delicious Brussels sprout, it's going to change. So as I digest it, it's actually going to go through some chemical changes. It's not going to be the same thing as I started with. So that would not be a physical change or physical property. Here's a list of some physical properties, the ones that are in black, properties that you may not be familiar with. Everything else we've already studied and you should already know. So the new ones that we're going to talk about would be hardness, solubility, malleability, magnetic, and luster. Let's start with hardness. First of all, hardness is not like how strong something is necessarily. It doesn't mean you can't break it. Hardness is referring to how easy it is to scratch a material. A harder material will scratch a softer material. Diamond is known to be the hardest material, naturally occurring material, and talc is known to be the softest. And again, diamond being the hardest material doesn't mean it can't be broken. Kind of like in Minecraft where you make diamond armor or diamond sword. That's really not a good idea because diamond is actually still pretty brittle. If you take a hammer and you take your mom's wedding ring and you take a hammer and you smash that diamond, you can definitely still break the diamond. Don't do that. It's a very hard material, but it's still brittle. It can still be broken. Do not smash your mom's wedding ring. Bad. Here's what's called the Mohs hardness scale, and going from left to right, this would be the softest material, this would be the hardest material. So if this is a 10, this is a 9, that means a diamond would be able to scratch corundum, corundum would be able to scratch topaz, topaz could scratch quartz, and anything below it as well. So topaz could scratch quartz, apatite, calcite, talc. Everything below, everything at the lower hardness would be able to be scratched by the one that is a harder hardness. Here is a picture of a person cutting glass. This is pretty neat. And you could have a little diamond edge, and you can use that diamond to actually cut a pane of glass. Here's a clip. Malleable. So if something is malleable, that means that it could be bent or hammered into shape. If you think of like aluminum foil, you can easily take aluminum foil and bend it. You can crumple it up into a ball. Things like that. Ductility. Ductile means that it's able to be drawn into a wire. And you probably have heard of copper wire. Aluminum is also sometimes used for electric wire. Ductility or ductile means it's able to be drawn into a wire. Here are some pictures showing electric wire. This is wire that you'd find in most homes around here, and there's different kinds. Some of them have 3 wires, some of them have 4 wires, and different thicknesses. That's called gauges, and oddly enough, the lower number is the thicker wire. So 14 gauge wire is actually going to be thinner than 12 gauge wire. And there's a reason for that, but I'm not getting into that. And you could see if you were able to open up a wire in your wall, you would see something like this. Normally it would have 3 wires like this. So if this is 12 gauge 2, that means that there's 3 wires, because there's the ground wire, which is that one, and then you have the hot wire and you have the neutral wire. Or you could have something like this, which is 12 gauge and 3, which means you have 3 wires, 1, 2, 3. And this red one, this would be kind of like if you're going to have like a switch in your hallway and you have a three-way switch. This type of wire would be good for that. Examples of metals that are ductile would be copper and aluminum. Here's a clip. This is gold leaf. Gold is really neat stuff. Gold is very malleable. And in fact, you could take a little tiny gold nugget, half a centimeter wide, and you could spread it out into this very, very large sheet. Gold is neat stuff. You can get it very, very, very thin. Here's a clip.
この竹、和歌山県小屋山のバンブー。じゃあね、これが、ピアゴールドリーフです。ちょっとあなたの手にちょっと金箔をつけて差し上げますので、手の湿り気を取ってください。
This is a picture of gold leaf, and you can see how thin and fragile it is. You easily could tear this stuff, just like tissue paper. This is actually a very, very thin layer of gold, and that's because the sun, if you are, say, like on the moon, you don't have an atmosphere to protect you. The sun would be much brighter, much more powerful, and could burn your eyes. So if you're in direct sunlight, you're going to want to have something like this that blocks your eyes from the sun. It's like super duper sunglasses. You can still see through it in very bright light, like in the direct sunlight. However, it blocks out most of the sunlight.